We had a bit of aftermath from Star Citizen CitizenCon 2022 event, with some players and backers concerned or upset about changes that are coming to ship combat and quantum travel versus SCM standard control modes, where you can either travel fast around the verse in your ship, but without shields and weapons, or move around in SCM speeds, which are much slower, but you have access to all your combat systems. This is sort of the mode that they want combat and dogfighting to all take place in. Let's take a look at some of the threads I saw on Spectrum, where devs responded and answered the community's questions. Let's start with WTFCIG. Why are you disabling shields at higher speeds? This is just awful. Large ships are at a massive disadvantage. YogiClat CIG responded, and this is very much the YogiClat edition of dev responses, because almost everyone here is from YogiClat. We didn't really have time to cover all the aspects of the changes at CitizenCon. Here are some more details on the shield interactions. When you swap SCM to QCM, so standard control mode to quantum control mode, your shields will not instantly blink away. I'm not sure if it was visible in the videos, but they collapse fluently while your quantum drive spools up. So if the mode swap was achieved, 50% of your shields would be down by 50%. However, the shield health you had before is not completely lost, but dumped into a reserve pool. The maximum amount being a property of the equipped shield generators, where it remains while you're in QCM. When you swap back to SCM, that shield health is immediately pumped back into the shield faces. This takes a couple of seconds, but unlike normal shield regeneration, this process cannot be interrupted by weapon impacts of any sort. So ships get a part of their defensive capabilities back after some seconds. Hope that clears it up. Another thread I saw, you just destroyed racing with master modes, signed one of your pro level racers. I have to choose between A, 250 to 300 meters a second with maybe 500 meters a second using boost for a short period, or B, full speed but no boost. Has anyone at CIG ever raced before? Do they understand how heavily we rely on boost to pin corners? Quantum mode sounds out of the question, so cool, racing is going to be real exciting at 300 meters a second. How out of touch are you guys? Really? GFG, CIG, GFG. YogiCat again responded, we had discussions about this internally, and we think we will actually be better for racing. From our point of view, racing is not about reaching a certain velocity, it's about finishing a racetrack in a given time. Speed is important, but feel of speed is not based on that meters a second value alone, but strongly related on how close you fly to the boundaries of that track. You can fly in a fighter jet at Mach 2, 50,000 feet and feel no speed at all, or fly in a helicopter 5 meters above the trees at 100 kilometers an hour. I guarantee the latter will feel a lot faster. 300 meters a second is not slow either. That's close to 600 knots for the local pilots here, and I assume only Tornado pilots can tell how fast that really is at low level. So yes, a couple of racing tracks might not be suitable anymore, but it doesn't mean that racing doesn't work. More than before, you will have to carefully manage your thruster capacity, as it can now extend beyond your SCM speed, especially in the non-spheric boost space. Also, the master modes actually encourage a more interesting track layout. Parts of a racing track that can adhere to the short-range SCM gameplay, where you have to change your velocity vector a lot, with longer legs, where you have to go in and out of QCM at the right time to minimize your track times and avoid overshooting. Plus, you still have G-forces to worry about. Racing is important for us, and we chat about it a lot with racing communities. So please keep your mind open about this. Sure, it will be a bit different, every big change is, but our goal is to still make it exciting. The original poster then responded again. I appreciate the reply and you trying to help me see it from your perspective. I still can't imagine switching between SCM and Quantum mid-race as being anything but clunky compared to what we had, which it was fluid. I am doing my best to stay positive about these changes, but it sure feels like those changes are hyper-fixated on fixing combat at the expense of anything else. Since I have your attention, even if it was wrangled in a less than ideal manner, I ask that you guys appreciate how dedicated your racing community is, and that racing not amount to an afterthought for flight model changes. If you are at liberty to disclose, are there plans for additional master modes specific to different applications such as racing? Also, I question why boost is turned off in quantum mode, a mode designed for travel. I can understand weapons and shields and countermeasures. Keeping boost enabled solves a lot of problems for racers, and it's difficult for me to see how it negatively affects anything else. Just a thought. Yogi Klat again responded, "We're currently not thinking about additional master modes. It might come in the future. Specifically for racing, I don't see the need for a specific mode, as it just uses the normal capacitor, ship stamina systems that are also needed for combat gameplay. Both are mostly about maximizing some part of your ship performance and effectively offsetting your velocity vector. We don't allow thruster boost in QCM, as we want to make your ship feel very vulnerable during QCM, so that decision to swap into that mode is not made lightly and comes with consequences. That's why all capacitor systems, shields, weapons, thruster boost are inhibited. As a player, that means you can pick high speed or high accelerations, but not both. Plus, the boost button is then used for quantum boost. Racing is not an afterthought, but I feel the requirements for enjoyable combat and enjoyable racing are very closely related, and we also do racing-specific things. I could mention that one of our new coders is currently preparing a manual stopwatch for the flight HUD. What about snub ships like the P-52? How will that work with QCM, quantum boosting, all that sort of jazz?" Yogi Klat responded, "We're not set on this yet. Our feeling at the moment is that ships like the P-52, P-72 snubs won't be able to go into QCM. Being snub fighters, we might just give them a higher SCM speed though, but we really didn't do the numbers for those two ships yet. Squadron 42 ships first, then the persistent universe will follow." He went on to say that theoretically they could have tiny quantum drives that only allow for boosting for certain ships. We'll discuss that internally though. Another thread I saw was my concerns with light, medium and heavy fighter roles. The original poster's concern here is how the balance of fighters actually plays out, and will light fighters just be sort of flying better, which causes imbalance? How are they going to solve balance issues? Yogi Klat responded again, "All ships will get a rebalance for the master modes. In general, we're aiming to lessen the relative agility differences between light, medium and heavy fighters. A lot of their current tuning has been done to account for the speeds that you could reach before. With master modes, we can now look at the problem in just the lower SCM velocity range, and it allowed us to buff the agility of the medium and heavies by quite a lot without making them all feel the same. In our internal playtests with the master mode tunings, our medium archetype, the Super Hornet F7CM, is definitely competitive against the Gladius. It's not the perfect choice, but you will have a much better chance compared to the live builds. Whether that holds up in later public builds, we'll have to see, of course, but I am optimistic it will work. Will there be any balance to turrets to offset the new speeds and capabilities of ships?" Yogi Klat says, "Independent of the new master mode systems, we're iterating on the gunnery system, which includes turrets. Once all changes are in and master modes have been enabled, we will have to take on a pass on the auto-aim capabilities of turrets. At the moment, they are quite exaggerated because of high speed, so it's possible that we will adjust a few values. It's nothing surprising here. Balance adjustments are often necessary when parts of the game system change." A couple of other little things. There was some annoyance at discrepancies in the Crusader Spirits specs because they were different on different sort of forms on the brochure compared to the ship matrix. So what are all the specs of those three different ships? We don't 100% know. Cloud Imperium are investigating that. I'll be covering the ship in some detail once we have the Q&A and confirmed specs for all of the variants, because obviously I prefer not to give you incorrect information. Where is Alpha 3.18 was another thread, and Cloud Imperium Games' Xylo said, "We've been actively working to get 3.18 out the door and onto the PTU nearly every single day. We're definitely close and will continue evaluating the build daily this week." Boom. That's it for this time's community concerns and dev responses. I'd love to know what you think though. Are you excited for the quantum versus combat modes? Are they a good idea? Do you hate them? Are you thinking, yes, actually this solves the problems with dogfighting and ship combat? What type of fighter do you prefer to fly when you're flying one? Light, medium or heavy? Do you think they're actually all going to be competitive with each other and all have their own roles that aren't just sort of like broken? You don't want light fighters just to be 100% always the best 1v1s, destroy all other fighters, destroy heavies, but you do obviously want them to serve a purpose. Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. NordCon 2952, the road to Nord 4.0. What do you want out of nordvpn.com/BoredGamer? Nord base building? Nord hunting 2.0? A dynamic Nordonomy? I'm personally looking forward to the latest Nord cruiser. In the meantime, I'm going to make do with NordVPN protecting my data from insidious space pirates and giving me unrivaled access to all the content that the internet has to offer. Use the links below. Note, NordCon 2952 does not actually exist. Also adding to my shill pile, Tobii Eye Tracker 5 gives you precise head tracking and control with your eyes. That's the sound of my eyes controlling the lasers, giving you unprecedented immersion in Star Citizen. You can basically aim lasers with your eyes. Pew pew! Use the links below and code BoredGamer for discount. Every month we have a ship giveaway for Star Citizen. For October, we're giving away a Cutlass Black with pirate skin, lifetime insurance, and Star Citizen game package. All you need to jump into the game. Just comment on any of my videos made during October to be in for a chance of winning that. If you would like to further support the channel, please consider becoming a channel member with the join button below my videos, or potentially becoming a Patreon. You'll get access to some exclusive content, and it really helps the channel out. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and have a great October.